Thank you, Derek. In studio with us this Friday morning for Friday with the Fuzz, as most always, is Elgin's Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda, and looking very sporty today, Jeff. Welcome first to the studio.
Yes, thank you. Very bright.
Elgin Rope
Camp, yeah.
What's going on with that?
Rope Camp started yesterday, so all of our rope officers brought 20 or so kids up to Lake Geneva to spend 3 days. I believe it's 3 days and 2 nights up in right on the shores of Lake Geneva and Snake Road Adventure Camp. And what they do is spend the time. It's a nice time for the kids to get to know other kids, different neighborhoods, but also they do a lot of problem solving, team building, leadership experiences, confidence building with some high ropes courses. And so we've been doing rope camp for probably 15 years or so, and fun, a lot of community support. Neighborhood groups will send a couple kids from their neighborhood, so it's a great time going on. I'm heading after the show. I'm heading up to Lake Geneva to go visit them for a little while. But
just going to ask you that.
Yeah, heading up. So I got the sporting gear on today.
They are up there for a week?
No, 3 days, 2 days.
3 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of through the weekend.
Through the weekend, yeah. They went up. I think they left yesterday morning, and again,
how many kids?
I think there's 20 or so. Mm-hmm. Every rope officer brings 4 or 5 kids, and I remember when we used to have up to 9 resident officers, 8 resident officers, and one that also was with the housing authority. We would have 50 kids up there, so
wow.
It was pretty hectic, but a lot of fun, and we still get comments. I know I've run into people that have went on the rope camp with us, and constant positive feedback that that was their only trip away. It was a lot of fun. Met kids from other areas. Got to know the resident officers, so it was just all in all a great time. And so now we've been doing it again 15 years. I don't know how many kids have been through rope camp, but obviously hundreds now. So
put you on the spot. Who are your rope officers, and what neighborhoods do they have?
Oh, no, that's easy. Well, Shelley Mendiola lives down on the southeast side.
A lot with her going on right now on Facebook. I keep seeing there's been a couple different videos, I think, that have been posted about her.
Yeah, we just started something recently as we're trying to do more video on Facebook. The updates are great, but sometimes the video gets a little more information out there. You can explain things more. And so what our resident officers have been doing is about a minute or a minute and a half. We're calling them, when I do, we kind of do a community briefing, we're calling them. But when the rope officers do it, it's kind of more community information. So the resident officers will give out where they live, what the point of the resident officer program is, when neighborhood meetings are coming up, and then generally some type of safety or crime tip that's happening. So yeah, Shelley's been very active. I know she did some things with, I think, the Laotian community, and went and talked with the kids on a program we call What is a Cop?
Yep.
All the different things with it. So that was exciting. So yeah, Shelley is all over the place with it, and now she's up at rope camp as well. We have Rob Hartman, who's on the west side. I know he's been in here a few times. Yep. And he lives right over by St. Ed's. So actually this is his second stint in the rope program. So he might be the longest going to the most rope camps out of anybody. So
with his second.
Yeah, with his second. Yeah. So Bob Engelke lives right on Chicago Street, and kind of it's about the 300 block of Chicago Street, kind of kitty corner from U46
yep.
Central Office. He moved. This is when we combined the 2 neighborhoods over there. So he's still the resident officer. Basically goes all the way to Summit and Dundee, to Liberty Street, over to Chicago Street, and again Dundee. So they've been doing that. Bob Engelke is, I think, they've been in the program maybe about 3 years or so. Heather Farrell is also on the east side. She's more in the Neenah area, but closer to Kimball Street. So she's right on the northeast side. This might be her. Maybe it's her second stint in the rope program. But in Sergeant Santiago, he is we actually just moved the camp. We used to go to a different one for a few years, and now Sergeant Santiago, it's his second year running the rope program. So he's up there. So they're all up there. They each brought, I think, 4 kids. They got a total of 20 kids that are doing the program, and so it's an exciting time. So a lot going on.
How many other cities, villages, communities, whatever, do rope?
We're the only ones that rope, the entire rope program.
Right.
We just had some visitors from down south. I want to say maybe it was Peoria, and I talked with their chief. They were looking at getting something together. We've also had visitors, I know, from the St. Louis area. So we will routinely get people in for a day or two to kind of see how the program works. When they did that big story with Rockford not too long ago, Rockford was out, and I'm not sure if they were going to started or not, but very few. And one of the interesting things is this coming year, 2015 will be our 25th year for the ROPE program. And so we're actually putting together a whole kind of timeline, and we're going to be submitting it to probably the IACP, or just doing an article for some magazines on it, because it's probably one of the longest standing community-oriented policing programs when it was started about 25 years ago. And now we have data from these neighborhoods that last 25 years, and we have very good data, especially for the last 15 or so years. You know, the very first years of ROPE, we still have it.
Finding your way.
Finding our way, exactly. And now being able to show, I mean, just the difference, and it's not just the police, it's the community with it. It was the council and city management. There are a lot of changes in the neighborhoods, things going on in the Elgin community across the board, not just police, but 25 years of data to go after and look at how it's changed. So we're going to be doing a big write-up and talking a lot about the 25th anniversary of the ROPE program. I talked with Chief Gruber, the guy who started it, along with Eric Isom, who was the deputy chief at the time. And pretty interesting. They started this program when it was there was no riverboat. The city didn't have a whole lot of money, and they were able to get it passed. It has, we need a police officer living in a house that has, we're going to supply them with a car, and the cars at the first point were donated by some local dealers, and so they weren't even police cars. They were kind of some old like Malibus and like the
here's a LeSabre I've got.
It's pretty much what it was. The mountain bikes. I know my first bike. Now we have nice mountain bikes that we're able to give everybody. But my first one, I was able to go and get it donated, and even my rent. I lived in an apartment, and the rent was donated by all the residents. Everybody chipped in, $15, $25, and they donated. The landlords, mostly all, then came together and started paying for the rent. So started with some very humble means, but has really grown into just a national program.
And in your opinion, do you think that's why a lot of other communities don't do it? I mean, is that a lot of the things that they're asking when they come to visit or see what you're doing is, I don't know how I can afford this, or...
Affording it is a big one. I mean, it can be expensive to pull a police officer out, and in a lot of communities, there's the, well, what exactly is the officer going to be doing? And I can tell you, in Elgin, I'm very comfortable. I know the city manager and the council people. It's not about the numbers. It's not about, well, tell me exactly what you've done. Because for the entire week, you might have walked the neighborhood and just talked with everybody and see what's going on and looked at what streetlights were out.
It's hard to quantify.
And not answered a single police call for service. And so I'm very comfortable with that, because I know in the end that's going to produce a lot of results. And not just myself, but going all the way back to Chuck Gruber, you have to be comfortable with that idea that they're going to be out there. You're not going to have control. It's really a way of kind of flattening out an organization where the resident officers have a lot to say of what goes on in their neighborhoods. The type of policing that's going to go on. Are we going to really enforce, speeding, because this is an area where we get a lot of complaints? Are we really going to go after some of these landlords who are allowing their homes to slip? And so then they work with the code department to bring fines against landlords or nuisance abatement. So they really run their own little mini city, and they do it in conjunction with generally the board of whoever's whatever neighborhood group they're at. But it's a great program, and I know the resident officers learn a lot. I know the lessons I learned from the ROPE program stay with me every day, and so these officers are going to be very well rounded when they get out.
I know you'd mentioned the IACP, and there was a press release you guys put out the other day, kind of tooting your own horn a little bit, which I thought was good, right? You got to share the good with the bad.
That's right.
The Elgin Police Department was named a finalist for the IACP International Association of Chiefs of Police Award for Excellence in Criminal Investigation. I'll let you tell us more about it and what you were a finalist for. What did you put forward? In other words, in terms of your criminal investigation, and how does that whole process work?
Yeah, we've talked many times here about all the different, in fact, just what we're talking about, the resident officers and what they bring to the table and how they can not just prevent crimes, but once crimes occur, how do they help solve them and during the investigations and bringing the community in line. We also do a lot, even just with this show, the idea of community education is so important. And then on the enforcement side, we have a gang unit that focuses on gang members, and every day is out in contact with gang members, making sure they're on the straight and narrow, and when they stray off the straight and narrow, they make sure they make an arrest very quickly. To our technology, we have things, PredPol or crimereports.com that we're dealing with. So we've got just a vast array of ways that we're dealing with crime in Elgin and preventing crime in the first place, but then once it occurs, solving that crime, but then also educating people as a portion of that. So we're doing all these different things. We saw this award announcement come out, and then Commander Lally, who's in charge of investigations, put together a great package, wrote it all up, and identified all the different things we're doing. And we sat around, the command staff sat around and said, we should put this in. I mean, we are doing a lot. And so we sent it in, and we got word probably 2-3 weeks ago that there are and this is International Association of Chiefs of Police, so this is around the world. There were over 100 different cities that put in. We got notified that 8 were selected as finalists, and they'll announce who the winner and a couple runner-ups are at the conference in October. So just to be one of 8, last year New York City won it for a program that they're doing. So this is a quite an accomplishment that we're in the top 8. I know in the running with us is a department in Australia, a department in Canada, the California Highway Patrol, Elgin, and then you put Elgin in there, right? Yeah. And so something that I know I'm very proud of.
You got Ponch and John from Chips. Exactly. You get the Royal Mounted Police, and then Elgin.
And then then Elgin out there, right? And so we're very proud. And City Manager Stagel mentioned it at the last council meeting, and I know our council's proud. I mean, everyone in the community, because it's really not a police department award. They name it for the Elgin Police Department for the things we're doing, but every single portion that we're getting recognized for as we put this package together, the community's right there with us and has a supporting role in it. The resident officer program wouldn't be successful if there weren't people in the area who work with the resident officer to solve those problems. Right. Our crimereports.com wouldn't be successful if people didn't look at that crimereports.com and know what's going on in their neighborhood and call us. So all along the way, it's a police department award is what it's called, but it's really a community award. So we're very excited.
Aside from recognition, is there any other prize, so to speak, other than just the?
I think the recognition, and maybe there's a trophy or something. I don't know, okay. Or a plaque, but
I wasn't sure if there was like money that was compiled together for a policing initiative or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe so, but there may be. Maybe there'll be surprises. I know there's a breakfast, so maybe you get like extra potatoes.
In Florida, you'll have to go, right? Darn, that'd be awful.
Well, as part of the Chiefs of Police conference. Yes, he is down. Absolutely.
Yeah. You'll visit him.
We are excited. So this came up, and so we are. We'll keep people posted as things go on. But you're right. Sometimes you do. I mean, it's about telling our story, because in policing, many times you don't tell a story, and the story gets told for you, and that story is many times just negative or the problems. I know some of the stories we may get to or may not. Talk about stabbing that occurs or fights that occur, arrests and drug dealing, and this is a positive that just shows that while those things do occur, we're also able to address them very well. And
there were a couple incidents throughout the week that it sounds like kind of closed quickly. In terms of there was a stabbing incident that apparently was a domestic disturbance, and thankfully both parties are seemingly okay, although.
Hospitalized, but
not life-threatening. It
appears
right, and you never know.
Exactly,
things can always take a turn. There was another incident, I believe, with a man in a car that pointed a gun at somebody else. I assume trying to take over the car, but that person was caught as well. And so, there were a couple of things, but they were closed within hours. It seems apparently, so.
Yeah, that's the goal. We try to have a very quick response, which isn't always the case. I talked with one of the residents who had called in recently about following a drunk driver, and it took us a while to get there. And that does occur sometimes. I mean, there are times where we have no police that are available for call at the moment.
Right.
Now, I say that any police officer at any time can clear, and so we have a certain amount of patrol officers that we send to the calls. But major calls, someone needing help immediately, a shots fired that just occurred, something like that. Officers know if you're on a traffic stop, you clear it. If you're in the station, if you're processing someone, you throw them in a cell and you run out on the street. So we get people to those calls immediately. But some calls do take us a while to get there. And last night we graduated our CERT members, the Community Emergency Response Team, and Karen Flanagan graduated probably been about another 10 more. So I was able to show up for that and see them as they were working through their final kind of test, we call it. And I tell them all the time, you can't staff, to be ready for a tornado that comes, because it's going to be just chaos. It's going to be overwhelming. You're never going to have enough resources. But at least you go into it recognizing that. Kind of like the shooting, the school shooting that we just, the training program that we just put on. It's mass chaos. You need to have a plan, and then once an incident occurs, you work the plan, and knowing that you're not going to have enough people, and you're not going to have enough equipment, and it's going to be very busy, and people are going to be wanting information that you can't give out at the time. But as you work those types of things, and the more people you can bring in, like the CERT team members who can assist, you can help alleviate some of those things.
I spoke with Aaron Neal from the City Works or Public Works Department the other day after the show, and I said, "Yeah, you were referenced as having a hand in it," and I said, "I heard it was organized chaos," and his response was, "You could say that." And that was it. So, yeah.
It absolutely is. Large events that occur, I mean, even the escapee that we dealt with last week, I mean, you're dealing with blocks and blocks, and people live there, businesses that are going on.
Derek's got some funny stories about that from one of his friends through social media, and how it took on a life of its own for that escapee that escaped from 2 Elgin police officers, stole a gun.
From the Elgin police twice.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like this was even before. This was like at 2 p.m. is when I still knew that was wrong. Like, so I never had talked to this person before, but I had to say something.
You had to say something. You had to set the record straight.
I did.
So I tell people, unless you see it's coming from the Elgin Police Department, don't.
Yeah.
And you can message us, and Christy does a great job responding to all those. But yeah, things take on a life of their own on social media. But speaking of Aaron Neal, I mean, the guy's a rock star. I mean, he does so much for the community and helps the police department out tremendously. Whenever anything big is going on, he's our guy that we go to.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, have fun at camp.
I will. Maybe I'll make some kind of
bug spray.
Macaroni.
Watch out for the ticks.
You make some artwork. Something.
Scare me now.
You gonna do s'mores tonight
We may.
or something?
We
All
may.
right.
I don't know that I'm spending the night.
No.
I'm committed.
Sleep outside? Wait, what?
I'm going up there in a little while, so we'll have lunch and we'll
There you go.
talk.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Have a safe one. And thanks as always for coming in.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. You're listening to 1410 WRMN.
And Elgin.